What's going on, Wrestling News CC family? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the most jaw-dropping moments in sports entertainment. And let me tell you, if you missed Monday Night Raw this week, you missed something that will be talked about for years to come. Before we dive into this absolute bombshell, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because moments like these don't happen often, and when they do, you want to be the first to know about our exclusive coverage and analysis. Tonight, we're talking about the night that changed everything. The night Seth Rollins learned that some sleeping giants should never be awakened. What started as a typical Monday Night Raw quickly transformed into one of the most shocking nights in recent WWE history. Fans were chanting, the lights were flashing, and the energy in the arena was electrifying as Seth "Freakin" Rollins made his way down the ramp. Clad in another one of his wild, custom-designed jackets, Rollins seemed untouchable, his swagger intact, his championship status solid, his confidence overflowing. But what he didn't know was that the very foundation of his world was about to be shattered. For weeks, there had been whispers across the wrestling world. Whispers about the fate of Roman Reigns. Where had the tribal chief gone? Why had he vanished without a trace following the Bloodline's implosion? His absence was deafening. Wrestlers speculated. Commentators danced around the topic. Fans screamed for answers. But no one knew the truth. And then it happened. But let's back up. Before we talk about the storm that erupted, we need to talk about the calm that came before it. Seth Rollins stood in the ring that night like a man at the top of his game. Microphone in hand, he spoke with authority, mocking those who disappear when the going gets tough, praising himself for holding down the company while others went silent. He didn't name names directly at first, but the message was clear. He spoke about champions who only show up when it's convenient. He talked about loyalty. About work ethic. About the heart it takes to be a real leader in WWE. And with that one statement, Rollins made the biggest mistake of his career. He questioned the legacy of Roman Reigns. "You want to talk about leadership?" Rollins said, his voice echoing through the arena. "Leadership isn't running away when things get complicated. Leadership isn't disappearing when your little faction falls apart. Leadership is standing here, week after week, carrying this company on your back." The crowd was eating it up. Seth was in his element, completely unaware that he was poking a bear that had been quietly hibernating, building strength, and planning his return. "Some people think they can just waltz back in here whenever they feel like it," Rollins continued, his confidence growing with each word. "But that's not how this works. That's not how I work. I am the present and the future of this company, and if you've got a problem with that." At first, the arena reacted like they always do. They chanted, they sang his name, they waved their signs. But something changed. The atmosphere grew tense. The lights flickered slightly, then came back. Rollins continued, unaware that his words were about to bring an avalanche down on his head. Then, with a sudden drop, the lights cut out completely. Gasps echoed throughout the arena. Phones were held high, recording every second. The silence was almost unbearable, until Roman Reigns' iconic entrance music began to play. For a moment, the crowd didn't know how to react. It had been months since that music had hit. Months since the sight of Roman's silhouette had been seen at the top of the ramp. But there he was. Roman Reigns emerged from the darkness like a force of nature. But this wasn't the same Roman who had left WWE television months ago. This was a different beast entirely. His hair was longer, his beard more rugged. His eyes held a fire that seemed to burn right through the camera. He was wearing all black, black cargo pants, black tank top, black boots. Gone was the elaborate entrance gear. This was Roman Reigns stripped down to his most dangerous essence. The crowd erupted in a way that shook the building to its foundation. Signs were waving, people were crying, grown men were jumping up and down like children on Christmas morning. Seth Rollins stood frozen in the center of the ring, microphone still in his hand, watching as Roman slowly, methodically made his way down the ramp. Every step was deliberate. Every movement calculated. This was a predator approaching his prey. Roman didn't rush. He didn't run. He didn't even acknowledge the deafening crowd reaction. His eyes were locked on Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins alone. When Roman reached the ring, he didn't immediately enter. Instead, he walked around the entire perimeter, never taking his eyes off Rollins. It was psychological warfare at its finest, and you could see the effect it was having on Seth. Rollins tried to regain his composure, lifting the microphone to his lips. "Well, he said, his voice noticeably less confident than it had been moments before. "Look who decided to show up." Roman finally stepped through the ropes and into the ring. The two men stood face to face in the center of the squared circle, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. "You had a lot to say about leadership," Roman said, his voice barely above a whisper but somehow carrying to every corner of the arena. "You had a lot to say about showing up. You had a lot to say about carrying this company." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But you forgot one thing, Seth. You forgot who built this house you're standing in." What followed was one of the most intense verbal confrontations in recent WWE history. Roman didn't yell. He didn't scream. He didn't need to. Every word he spoke carried the weight of absolute certainty. "You think because I stepped away, that means I was gone?" Roman asked, circling Seth like a shark. "You think because I let you play champion, that means you actually are one?" Seth tried to respond, but Roman cut him off with a look that could melt steel. "I am the tribal chief. I am the head of the table. I am the one who built the foundation you're standing on, and I can tear it down just as easily." The crowd was hanging on every word. This wasn't just a wrestling promo, this was a masterclass in intimidation and psychological dominance. "You want to know where I've been, Seth? I've been watching. I've been waiting. I've been planning. And now I'm back to reclaim what was never actually yours to begin with." Roman's voice grew more intense with each sentence, but he never lost control. This was calculated destruction, surgical in its precision. "You see, while you were out here playing dress-up in your little costumes and begging for the crowd's approval, I was remembering what it means to be the alpha in this business. And you, Seth, you're about to be reminded why you acknowledge me." Seth Rollins, to his credit, tried to stand his ground. He raised the microphone one more time, perhaps thinking he could talk his way out of the situation or turn the crowd against Roman. But Roman had heard enough. With lightning speed, the tribal chief grabbed the microphone from Seth's hand and threw it across the ring. The metallic clang echoed through the arena as the two superstars stood face to face in complete silence. What happened next was pure Roman Reigns brutality. Without warning, Roman grabbed Seth by the throat and lifted him off his feet, displaying a level of raw power that reminded everyone why he had dominated WWE for so long. He held Seth there for what felt like an eternity, their eyes locked, before delivering a thunderous powerbomb that sent shockwaves through the ring. But Roman wasn't finished. As Seth struggled to get to his feet, Roman positioned himself in the corner, loading up for the spear that had ended countless careers and championship reigns. The crowd was on their feet, sensing that they were about to witness something special. When Seth finally stood up, still dazed from the powerbomb, Roman exploded out of the corner like a missile. The spear connected with such force that it looked like Seth had been hit by a freight train. The arena erupted in the loudest reaction of the night as Roman stood over his fallen victim, arms raised in victory. As Roman's music played and he made his way back up the ramp, the full impact of what had just happened began to sink in. This wasn't just a surprise return, this was a statement of intent. Roman Reigns hadn't just come back to WWE, he had come back to reclaim his throne. The wrestling world immediately exploded with reactions. Social media was flooded with videos of the moment, analysis from wrestling experts, and speculation about what this meant for the future of WWE programming. But perhaps the most telling reaction came from the WWE roster itself. Backstage interviews revealed that many superstars had been just as shocked as the fans. Some expressed excitement about the possibility of facing Roman again. Others seemed genuinely concerned about what his return meant for their own championship aspirations. The mysterious absence that had left so many questions was finally explained, not through words, but through actions. Roman hadn't disappeared because he was weak or defeated. He had stepped away to regroup, to refocus, and to prepare for his inevitable return to the top of the mountain. The implications of Roman's return are staggering when you really think about them. Every championship storyline, every major feud, every major pay-per-view plan has just been thrown into chaos in the best possible way. Seth Rollins, who had been riding high as one of WWE's top stars, now finds himself in the crosshairs of the most dominant force in professional wrestling. His championship reign, his position in the company hierarchy, his entire WWE narrative has been fundamentally altered by Roman's return. But it's not just about Seth. Every wrestler on the WWE roster now has to recalibrate their strategies and their goals. Roman's return creates a ripple effect that will be felt throughout every division, every storyline, and every championship picture. The timing of this return also suggests that WWE has major plans for upcoming pay-per-view events. With SummerSlam approaching, the landscape of potential matches and storylines has become infinitely more interesting and unpredictable. As we wrap up this breakdown of one of the most shocking returns in WWE history, it's clear that Monday Night Raw delivered something truly special. Roman Reigns didn't just return, he made a statement that will resonate throughout the wrestling world for months to come. Seth Rollins learned the hard way that there are some lines you don't cross and some legends you don't provoke. His world was literally and figuratively shattered in the span of about 10 minutes, and the wrestling landscape will never be quite the same. What did you think of Roman's shocking return? Do you think Seth brought this on himself with his comments? How do you see this affecting the championship picture going forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing your reactions and predictions. If this breakdown helped you process all the chaos from Monday Night Raw, smash that like button and subscribe to Wrestling News CC for more exclusive wrestling content. Ring that notification bell because with moves like this, you never know when WWE is going to drop the next bombshell. Until next time, this has been Wrestling News CC, and remember, in the world of professional wrestling, you should never poke a sleeping giant, especially when that giant is the tribal chief himself. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.